Kirk Nurmi, who I want to ask you, Kirk, I have to tell you, so far, these witnesses, I think, have been very compelling in their testimony, including from the housekeeper, what we just heard, as well as one of the victims who testified as to what she says Maxwell did. What do you think at this point in time about this case against Ghislaine Maxwell?
Well, I think we're seeing the picture that the state was portraying in their opening statement of this kind of pyramid scheme, this perverse pyramid scheme, if you will, starting to come into focus, right? One way to look at a trial is like a Polaroid, the old Polaroid film starting to develop and that picture starting to come out. And we're starting to see that with the victims who are experiencing their tragedy and telling about their trauma and their victimization. And along with the housekeeper in particular, right? A 50-something page house manual, and she was the lady of the house. It kind of shows a business-like atmosphere in this house of what they were supposed to do and how they were supposed to behave and what they were supposed to ignore. So it kind of shows some culpability, this kind of business mentality, and we see really this picture of perversity coming together for the jury.
And how does the defense surmount that? What can they offer possibly to say otherwise? I mean, certainly she's presumed innocent, and we know they haven't yet had an opportunity to present their side of the case. But what are your thoughts?
Well, look, they're going to do everything they can, and in this setting, it might seem unseemly, but they have to do what they can to attack the credibility of the victims' stories, right? Or to attack the credibility of their memories, that sort of thing. Same with the housekeeper and everyone else involved to kind of, play on the idea that it's been 20 plus years since these events happened and that things change. Maybe they have some animosity, maybe they have some personal reasons. You're going to have to try to do everything you can to build reasonable doubt. I mean, that's what their defense attorney's role is in a criminal trial, and that's really all they can do. And I tell you, they have a big, steep uphill battle from what we're seeing coming out of this courtroom.
Is this the kind of case that you're surprised there was no plea deal or not?
Boy, it's hard to say because you never know what Miss Maxwell, ultimately Miss Maxwell can decide whether she accepts the plea or not, no matter what her attorneys have to say. And she may have been steadfast in denial of accepting any plea agreement. That happens a lot in these cases. Because you think about it, when you look at the accusations, if she admits guilt, she has to live with that. She has to do so publicly. And she may be so steeped in her denial that doing so is absolutely impossible. And this might be a case where the prosecutors just simply didn't feel the need to do that because they had such a strong hand.
And I think, too, the fact that they are federal charges, that it's sex trafficking, and so they have to prove there was a network, that it was a business proposition, there was a business plan. It's not proving there was one victim that she victimized, but rather this entire organization. And that's a harder thing to prove. There are a lot more elements, I would suggest.
Well, I think that's true, but like I said earlier, I think we're starting to see those elements come into focus, right? This 58-page manual, for example, I don't think most people have a manual to people that come over to their house, right? And how they're supposed to conduct themselves, and these massages and these sex toys that we heard about, all that sort of thing, and all the underage girls running around. So we're really seeing this kind of picture build together, and it's coming into focus. And I think as the trial moves forward, we're going to hear more. We had the pilot testify earlier. We're going to hear more about this operation, and I think they're doing an excellent job. While it might be a little more difficult, they're doing an excellent job because, frankly, the evidence is there that supports all the contentions they put forward in the indictment.
And at what point do you think these attorneys are going to ultimately advise their client to take the stand on her own defense or not? Do you think they've already made that decision? Or is it rather a decision they're going to make after the state presents all of its evidence?
It was always my practice to reserve until the very last minute. I might give like a preliminary advisement and then give my final advice when the state's evidence closes. And I bet that's what they're following, because again, even though you can prepare for trial, you don't know some of the things that might come out of a witness's mouth, particularly a victim and some of the other issues. So you're going to ultimately give that final bit of advice once you've heard all those things. And can your client really shed any light on that? But but they've also got to be knowing that the cross-examination of Miss Maxwell would be absolutely brutal. And they probably advised her of that as well. And we'll see. Maybe she wants to stand up and in defiance of these charges. If that's the last we see of her publicly, that might be exactly what she wants to do. Consequences be damned.
All right, Kirk, in the last 30 seconds or so, you know, in this other case that we've been following, the school shooting and responsibility of parents or not, in this case, 14-year-old victim testified, and a lot of social media outcry was, where were that child's parents, that she was over at Epstein's home and allegedly, according to her testimony, being victimized. They groom, but what would you say in just the last few seconds now, because I talked too much, about how to prevent that?
Well, you know, communication, I think, is ultimately the key, because grooming, as you mentioned, and it's hard to discuss in a few seconds, can be a real powerful tool. So you want to make sure that your children have that open line of communication so that grooming has contrast in reality, which is what the groomers are trying to take them away from.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kirk. Stay with us as we continue to update our breaking news. The parents of the accused teen gunman in Michigan are now on the run. What we're learning about when they skipped town. Stay with us here on Court TV, your front row seat to justice for all of the continuing news.